If you look at the top of the Premier League table, you will see a familiar sight. Man City leading the league. And it's nothing new. They're three-peat Premier League champions. They've won 5 of the last 6, and here they are leading the league again. But I thought this year, things were going to be different. Arsenal look really strong under Arteta. They even beat City this year. Liverpool, the only team to beat City to a Premier League title since they started their dominant run, they look like they're back. And Postecoglou has Tottenham looking like a really good team. But they all suffered setbacks this weekend, and here we are once again with Man City leading the league. So I think it's time we ask the question that none of us really want to ask. Is City winning the league inevitable? I'm not sure if there's a team that can realistically beat City to the title, but before we declare them champions for a 4th year in a row, I think we should look at the teams who have at least been making it a title challenge this year. And I'm going to start with the team who had been leading the league up until recently, Tottenham. And Tottenham have looked great to start the season under Ange Postecoglou. I think we knew that he was a good manager and had a chance to do well with Spurs, but at least I thought it would take a while for the players to be able to adjust to his style of play. I guess I'd just been me watching too much Manchester United, because they took to him like a fish to water. Even with losing Harry Kane, Spurs didn't miss a beat. Heung-min Son has been moved to striker, and he has been prolific this year. And the midfield's been strong as well. Basuma was a non-factor last season, but Postecoglou has made him a centerpiece to this team. And with his style of play, with dribbling being such a big factor, he's been great. And James Maddison has gone from being relegated with Leicester to being objectively one of the top midfielders in the division. Destiny Adugi has been great as well as a young player. He might already be the top left back in the league. And Van de Ven has come in and really solidified the defense, forming a great partnership with Romero. Top of that, Vicario has come in, really been an upgrade on Hugo Lloris, probably a club legend, but he was due to be replaced. All of that has gone very well for Spurs. But last week, things didn't go great against Chelsea. I don't think you can factor this to the players or tactics. Romero just got a red card, and then things really fell apart. They ended up playing with 9 men towards the end, and they ended up losing. But this game was more than just Spurs' first loss of the season. They lost a lot of players this game. First, the 2 red cards, Adugi missing 1 game, that's going to hurt, but Romero being out 3 games, Van de Ven picked up an injury, it looks like he's training a bit, but he's going to be out for a decent period of time. Maddison picked up a knock, and with them losing all 3 of those players, they could be dropping points in the near future. And if they start dropping points, City might be able to just pull away from them. And all of a sudden, Tottenham's going to be out of the title race and just fighting to be a top 4 team. Then there's Liverpool, who look like they're back to form. I mean, it's been a rough few years for them with Virgil van Dijk's injury, them losing a few players, but they might just be back this season. I mean, Mo Salah looks like one of the top players in the league once again. I mean, he's an all-time great Premier League player. I have him in my all-time Premier League 11. And on top of that, some more players are starting to do well. Diaz, I mean, shout out to him for performing under the circumstances. He's looking really talented. Gakpo, Nunez, Jota, they all have moments. The attack is pretty decent. Midfield brought in a lot of new players. Soboslai, McAllister, they look like good players. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, they're there. Like, it's a pretty decent Liverpool team. But despite that, it kind of feels like they don't have the cutting edge that they had in the past. I mean, obviously Mane's not there, and that's losing a world-class player. But outside of Salah, they really don't seem like this elite team. And the defense hasn't been great. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's kind of been found out as a defender. Virgil van Dijk, he's on the decline. He was one of the best players in the world when he was at his peak. But his peak isn't there anymore. He's still a decent player, but it's not what it was. There's the issue of not having a great defensive midfielder. I don't think any of the attackers are really too reliable, either through inconsistencies or frequent injuries outside of Salah. And I just don't see this as a Liverpool team that can realistically win a title this season. I think they're going to be involved in the title challenge. I hope they're going to be able to get back to the Champions League. And I'm curious to see how the future can go under this team with Klopp taking them in a new direction. But I don't think they're going to be title challengers this year. Then there's Arsenal, who were the main title challengers last year and were finally able to get over the mental barrier and beat City this year. And it's easy to see why they're so good. I mean, their wings are probably the top in the league, with Martinelli and Saka just being elite players, Odegaard and Declan Rice in the midfield provides a ton of creativity, and Rice really helps out the defense. Unfortunately, they lost some of the depth due to injury. Timber going down is a big loss, but Saliba's healthy. Gabriel and him is a really good partnership at the back. Zinchenko and Ben White, I think they work really well with this Arsenal squad. I think David Raya is an upgrade over Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, he has faced a lot of criticism this year because he's not English, but I think he's doing well for the team. And this looks like a solid Arsenal squad. But there are still issues with this Arsenal squad. It's just they're in different places this year. Well, some of them are. We'll get to up top later. But first in the midfield, Declan Rice has come in and really helped out the defense, but he's hurt Arsenal some in possession. Now, it's have to be seen if he just lacks the skill set to really be a good deep-lying playmaker type, or if it's just taking him a little bit of time to get integrated into Arteta's system. But he's hurt Arsenal in possession this year. And in addition, losing Granit Xhaka has really hurt Arsenal. And that surprised me, because I don't really rate Xhaka. I thought he's kind of like their Jordan Henderson. But losing him has definitely hurt, and Havertz, Jorginho, Vieira, whoever you put in the midfield, haven't been able to fill his role. And then up top, there's still issues. Gabriel Jesus, he's a fine player, a lot of hard work, and connect with the midfield, but he's never going to be an elite goal scorer. And I think that they might need an elite goal scorer to really challenge Man City, especially when they have somebody like Erling Haaland up front. There are still a good amount of issues with this Arsenal squad, and there's a decent amount of issues with all of these title challengers. I mean, but what about City themselves? I mean, they're not a perfect team. City did lose to Arsenal this season, and they have looked vulnerable at times. But this is a City team that under Guardiola has gotten better as the season has gone on, and they've been dealing with a lot of injuries this season. Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones have been out for extended periods of time, and they were two of the crucial players of Man City's treble-winning team last year. And on top of that, despite all those injuries, the suspension to Rodri and everything, they're on top of the Premier League right now. And when I look at their team from top to bottom, it's just elite. Even taking out the injured players, Ederson in goal, one of the top goalkeepers in the league, amazing with his feet, solid shot stopper as well. Great defense, Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Walker, Ake. Gvardiol's probably going to be an upgrade on Ake, just hasn't gotten there yet, and Ake's been a great player for City. Rodri in midfield, Kovacic has helped out, Nunez, Alvarez has looked great in a midfield role, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Grealish on the wing, Doku has come in and been a great player, and obviously Erling Haaland up top. He's just so dominant that I look at him and be like, he hasn't been great this year, but 11 goals in 11 games. He might be even better than last season. His goal scoring is just insane. And this is still a really strong City squad. And on top of that, the underlying numbers for City have been great this year. They're on top of the league in an XG table with a decent gap over Newcastle. And to make things better, they're overperforming their expected goal mark. That is already the best in the league. Now, Liverpool and Arsenal are relatively close. They might be able to close that gap. But with Tottenham, I think they've been overperforming their expected goal marks far too much. And with that and the combination of injuries and suspensions that they just had recently, I could see them falling out of the title race pretty quickly, but it's still undeniable the progress that they made under Postecoglou, and it looks like Tottenham have a very bright future under him. And in regards to Liverpool, I feel like there's something I should mention considering how good Salah has been for them this year. It's an AFCON year, and he's going to be away for a decent part of the season with Egypt. And when I was mentioning how I think that the injuries and suspensions that Tottenham suffered could really cause them to fall the title race, I think losing Salah for an extended period of time might really hurt Liverpool. I mean, they might be able to pull something together and not suffer too much. I don't think they even hurt that bad when they lost Mane and Salah in the same season. But I think it's going to hurt when they lose Salah, and I'm not sure if they'll be able to maintain this title challenge throughout the season. And that leaves Arsenal as the only team I feel like can realistically challenge City for the title this season. And I still have some questions with their firepower up front. I mean, Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah aren't elite goal scorers. Jesus can do a lot as a striker, but he's not the goal-scoring threat that you really want in a Premier League title race. But in addition, I think they really missed the goal contributions from Granit Xhaka. He had 14 last season in the Premier League. I think that I have to reevaluate my thoughts on him considering how well Bayer Leverkusen have been doing with him. But I just thought that Kai Havertz would come in and be a bit of an upgrade, and he hasn't been a bad player. I think his defensive work has been pretty good, but I'm questioning if he'll ever be able to rediscover his goal scoring form. And with that, Declan Rice adding a lot of good defense, but a bit less in possession, I'm not sure if Arsenal are going to have the firepower to compete with Man City this season. So we come back to the question, can City be stopped this year? And I mean, I guess they can be. They looked below their standards when Rodri was out. Losing Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones definitely hurts. And I mean, Haaland has been dealing with an injury, but with me saying that, it's me going, can City be stopped? I mean, I guess if everybody gets injured. I mean, that's not really off the table. I mean, this is a decently injury-prone side. But even if that happens, if Haaland goes down, move Alvarez up front. Get Foden more playing time in the midfield. Doku more starts. And they still have an amazing defense. And you just look at the City squad, and it's like, I'm not sure if they can be stopped this year. And the only way they can be is if injuries keep piling and piling and piling up. And to me, I can't really predict that. And with that, I think that City are going to be able to win their fourth straight title relatively easily. And that's kind of disappointing. I mean, one of the reasons I like talking about the Premier League is because it's so competitive. From top to bottom, well, not really the bottom this year, but it's usually such a good league with so many competitive teams. And to see Man City just continue to dominate, it's a bit disappointing to see. I mean, granted, it's fun to watch City. They do it in such good style. I love watching Pep Guardiola's teams. But I think it might just be until Guardiola leaves, his contract expires in 2025. It's kind of just a one-team league. Kind of like PSG in France, Bayern, what Juventus was doing for a while in Italy. It's kind of going to be like that in the Premier League. And, I mean, that's disappointing, but, man, you have to give props to this Man City team. I mean, the amazing players, what Guardiola's been doing as a manager, recruitment, being able to let players go at the right time. I mean, they definitely miss Gundogan, but, I mean, it was probably the right time for him to go, the right time for Mars to go. They got good money for him, and I think that Man City's been doing such a good job, and it kind of hurts the league, but, man, it has to be appreciated. And, like I said, I think barring a ton of injuries, it looks like City's going to be dominating the league once again. And yeah, that's all I got to talk about this week. I want to talk about City because I think it's going to happen again. I think I can make that prediction now. And yeah, see ya.